Hello, viewers and learners. Welcome to this session. Today we have with us a distinguished speaker, Shri Rajendra Ratnuji, IAS, and he is the Executive Director from the National Institute of Disaster Management, Ministry of Home Affairs, New Delhi. Welcome to this session, sir. We also have with us Dr. K.D. Prasad, Director of the EMPC, Professor Nandini Sinha Kapoor, the Director of School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies. We have Professor B. Rupini, Professor in the Discipline of Environmental Studies, SOITS-IGNOU. And we also have Professor R. Bhaskar from the School of Sciences, Discipline of Geology, IGNOU. And myself, Dr. Sushmita Bhaskar from SOITS in the Discipline of Environmental Studies, IGNOU. Let me tell you, we have several courses that are focusing on environmental health, then on sustainability, then environment and occupational health, and we also have a post-PG diploma in environmental management and law, which specifically there is a course on environmental law and management. And we also have MSc in environmental sciences, and within this we have the course on disaster management. And we also offer several courses on the massive open online Swayam platform, and all of the students are free to take up these courses, and also we have the online programs. Now, I gave an overview of this because in all these courses we have focused on the environmental health, and then moving from unsustainable lifestyles to the sustainable lifestyles, moving and achieving the sustainable development goals. And then we've also focused on several issues like combating the vehicular pollution, or going from the non-renewable to the renewable energy and the alternatives. And we've also focused on sectors where we talk about the environmental hazards and the disaster management, the role of the National Disaster Management Authority and the NIDM. Shri Rajendra Ratnuji is from the NIDM. I would like sir to share his expertise and experiences, the National Institute of Disaster Management, and an overview about the institution and how that is doing its bit for the society.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to invite to IGNOU and have this interaction with a wonderful panel. Well, my passion with disaster management started soon after I joined Indian Administrative Service Training, because our batch was trained in 2001 in shadow of Kutch earthquake as well as Odisha super cyclone that had taken place 2 years prior to that. So in our academy there was a new module that was introduced on disaster management. That was very fascinating for me, that by training in capacity building we can save lives. And soon after I joined my division in Chidambaram in Kadalur district, I thought why not to try and pilot this thing. So I started conducting the sensitization trainings through mock drill demonstration to entire school, college students and other vulnerable pockets. After 1 year of this program, I thought that I'm not doing enough, because people's capacity will not be built unless they have a hands-on experience. And I digged out one template from UNDP for a village level disaster management plan, and there was initial talk going on that, and there was a pilot village already selected, but virtually no real work had happened there, a village called Samyar Petai. So I made country's first village level disaster management plan in a coastal village of Tamil Nadu called Samyar Petai, and demonstrated this training, which was done with all local resources, on 29th October 2004, calling then Commissioner of Disaster Management of the state, Mr. Santhanam, as well as my district collector, that this is how a disaster management planning at a grassroots level should be there to build capacity of communities. And this model was picked up by UNDP to escalate that into a nationwide program in the coastal areas, to begin with Tamil Nadu. And 2 months later, this village had least number of deaths in tsunami, and people saved their lives because of this training. And that made my faith more deeper, that if we have to save communities, we have to build the last mile capacity of our people, whatever technology we may use. So from there onwards, my continuous connection with the disasters I had opportunity to be first responder in various capacity to manage around 7 flood situation, 5 cyclones, oil spill disaster, a few fire accidents, as well as some health emergencies. And National Institute of Disaster Management, it's very unique history globally, that after the first global event in the decade of disaster management from 1990 to 2000, which was decade of disaster management by UN, and in 1994 was the Yokohama conference, where there was a resolve to build the capacity of the nations, and India was one of the first countries to take the lead in making a national center for disaster management that was located in Ministry of Agriculture that time, because at that point of time disaster management more focus was on relief to farmers particularly. Then after the Bhuj earthquake, this was realized that it is not only relief but the response is also very equally important, and therefore the subject of disaster management should be somewhere in the ministry which can galvanize the support of paramilitary forces and if required the armed forces. And rightly so, the Home Ministry, Ministry of Home Affairs was chosen, and in 2002 this center was upgraded into National Institute of Disaster Management, and 2003 it was notified, and 2005 National Institute of Disaster Management further got statutory backing of Disaster Management Act of 2005, and then on this journey goes into building the capacity of the nation and mainstreaming disaster risk reduction into various sectors as well as various layers of training up to the state level and below. We are also connected with more than 300 universities in a network of knowledge that has been created after Honorable Prime Minister gave 10-point agenda in Asian Ministerial Conference in 2016. So we have created a very vibrant network of more than 300 universities and institutions called IUINDRR, India Universities and Institutions Network for Disaster Risk Reduction.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your experiences and expertise, and also giving us an overview, awareness, and also conducting a lot of training modules and building the knowledge base. I would now request Professor Nandi Sinha Kapoor to interact with our expert.
Welcome, sir. I would like to ask you what are the highlights of the mandate of NIDM, and what are the highlights of the awareness campaign or the program that you have for the Indian public?
Section 49 of Disaster Management Act mandates the National Institute of Disaster Management for training, capacity building, human resource development planning, documentation, research, awareness generation, and also engaging with various sectors to work on mitigation measures. So that way it gives a very huge mandate, and also we derive our mandate from the various policies and guidelines which NDMA and is making, as well as certain programs of national importance which Ministry of Home Affairs is bringing, as also from Prime Minister's 10-point agenda, Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, Paris Accord and other related frameworks for the sustainable development goals. So all these in addition to disaster management, all these developments also gives additional mandate to work towards a more safer, not only India, a resilient India and resilient globe, by building not only managing and responding to disasters but also working on understanding of the risk, monitoring of the risk, creating frameworks for transmitting and communicating risk, making communities better prepared to minimize the impact of the risk or respond properly to these risks, and also in long-term recovery and reconstruction, rehabilitation, how the learnings of past disasters can be used.
Thank you, sir. And I would now like to ask the Director EMPC, Dr. K.D. Prasad sir, to ask or interact with our expert.
Now, when we are talking about disaster, I think media plays an important role. And when we talk about media, media is the first who come forward to inform about the kind of real concern which are there before us as administrator, or as a sufferer, what are the concerns we are having. So that is what is media has a very important role. Now this media is always coming forward to not only to inform but to prevent. How to prevent them, how fast we can prevent them, how to relocate them, how to reassure them that you are going to have a better place to avoid all this kind of disasters which are coming forward. Vividly remember the corona time. Just think of, if media is not there, if internet could have not been there, what could have been the fate of the victims or the kind of magnanimity of this concern. So we find a very square and very suitable role of media, and we have to have an integration of the disaster media and then taking them forward to further save the lives and the people of the country. That's what I feel the media and the disaster as a whole.
Yes, so I think the role of media in sensitizing the public, this plays a very important role. This could be like in your local daily, in your newspapers, in the science magazines, and nowadays of course we have all these social media platforms. So that way people are much more aware and well informed of when a natural disaster strikes or a calamity strikes. It could be even chemical emergencies, and even in the times of the corona pandemic, the biological pandemic, we were all prepared, and we were well informed through these digital media and the social media apps as to what to do and where to go and how to get vaccinated. So these portals were all active, and people, they were able to communicate in their own way, and I think this is a very important. And in the same way, like also the disaster management response force and the task force, they are also able to communicate this. And I would like to ask Shri Ratnuji sir, if you can highlight more on this issue.
I think when we talk about media, it includes both the electronic media, the print media, as well as people's media, folk media. They all are useful at various stages of disaster. As I said earlier, that one of the very important task is that how the risk warnings, wherever the disasters, there are certain categories of disasters where today science has given us scope for early warning. The cyclones, we had recently in Gujarat Biparjoy cyclone, which had there was a similar cyclone in 1998 in the same region, same place, and that was also a very severe cyclone, both similar intensity, similar landfall point, and number of people who died in 1998 was somewhere 3,500 to 5,000. There are different estimates. And in Biparjoy's cyclone, the last year, not even one life was lost in Biparjoy. And one of the important game changers that was there was, one is early warning. But unless this warning is translated into understandable message and can reach to large communities, we could not have achieved the success. And therefore, on one side, there was a predisposing factor in terms of Build Back Better of Gujarat's post-earthquake recovery program, which were the houses were in the same area. But more than that, what made a difference was the media. Whether it's social media, electronic media, print media, all of them took the story to the masses, and people exposure to the disaster was reduced. Second story I will cite is not a very good story. I recently went to again in Gujarat, and while government agencies including commissioner had shown me that they have given a bite on, there was a Vajwa dam near Vadodara where there was a water was to be relieved because there was a heavy rainfall. And 24th, 25th, there was a warning by district authorities. But many times media doesn't pick that story as a very glamorous, very important story. And this information could not be hammered again and again. And people took very lightly, as in the previous years also there is a water release, and they did not take the warning very seriously. And there was a lot of distress, and there were a lot of damages to material property and some loss of life also. So media plays a very important role in responding to a disaster, natural disaster risk, And in addition to that, it also plays role in relief time. It also plays role during the time of early reconstruction phase, when temporary shelters are built, also at the time of recovery. So we are also trying to engage with the media. We are also in discussion with the Indian Institute of Mass Communication and other organizations as to how we can mainstream disaster risk reduction training into the syllabi and the curriculum of the journalists who are, getting education in the prestigious educational institution. So we are trying to engage through NIDM with the media, with different forms of media.
Like to ask Professor B. Rupini to ask some questions.
Just I would like to ask that what is the interconnectedness about that, why we are banning or why we are restricting the usage of the plastic? Are there any health impacts on human beings? Only on the environment, but is there any specific adverse effect on human health?
As you know, that amount of plastic which is coming into environment is enormous. In multiple ways it is affecting our health. One is that the plastic which was understood earlier as inert material is not actually inert. Many a time people carry their hot food, the fat in the plastic carry bag, and there is a leaching out of the toxins from the plastic to the food. Marine creatures, whether they are turtles or they are fishes, they have a very unique behavior of galloping nature. They do not, like mammals, they do not breed selectively, and therefore this fragmented pieces of plastic in the ocean, they are ingested by our marine creatures, and they are coming again through that route to into our food supply chain. Our microplastic, which is pumped into a large amount into our environment, so including our salt, which are derived from sea, are having plastics. Our honey have started getting into microplastic into that. And as sacred as human bodies, most of the adults are having BPA, which is a part of, when the plastic is to be given a transparency, they add a chemical called BPA, and this BPA again leaches out into our water and many of the hot thing. And the BPA bottles have been globally banned in many of the countries, but many of the developing and underdeveloped world still BPA is being used. So in multiple ways plastic is impacting our health, bird health, marine health, our cattle and human health.
We had a wonderful discussion. In brief, how do you think IGNOU and NIDM can join hands to make our society disaster resilient? Because awareness is key to prevention of many disasters.
I think there's a huge strength. Both these institutions come with their own strengths. NIDM's strength is in terms of its network of partnerships in the disaster risk reduction and its in-house resources that are there, human resources. IGNOU's strength is in terms of its large outreach through media, and also its infrastructure for digitizing the knowledge, recording the knowledge and disseminating the knowledge. So I think if we have to realize the 10-point agenda and the Prime Minister's call also on mainstreaming the disaster risk reduction into every vertical including education, I think IGNOU and NIDM partnership can be real game changer in this direction.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for the wonderful interaction. Thank you.
Thank you.